Hi everybody, Jody Dean here with Michael Simons, and we're going to be talking today about the rose, the path of the rose, the white rose and the red rose. We're also going to be talking about some of the mystery tradition, about the upcoming experience in Guatemala, and a couple of other things. Do you want to chime in there, Michael, with what we're going to be
Yeah.
sharing?
Hi everyone. Michael, yeah, here. So, yes, we've decided to share some content with you all on a regular basis to discuss the different themes of the Rose, Path of the Rose, and the upcoming retreats, etc. But also to dive into some of the aspects surrounding that, the mystery schools, because it's all so interesting and actually been a really key point of and key part of our journeys as well. Certainly mine the last few years. Um, you'll have to excuse the Kubrick zooms that keep happening on my webcam. Not much I can do, but it seems to be going a bit bonkers today. Um, so yeah, interestingly, I never really expected to be even talking about this topic. However, it has been a really interesting journey the last 4 years, almost to the day. And what I've noticed in the last year is certain aspects of it have sort of gotten louder and more present in my reality. And so it's just listening into that and tuning into it. And the rose has been at the very core of that. And Jody and I have witnessed various miracles along the way and experiences that we've both had in our own journey that have actually woven us back together time and time again. And a lot of that has been centered around the rose, which is very interesting. Whether it's in Glastonbury or the All About Love festival or the other festivals in and around the UK, and also the connections and so on that you've got in Forest Road. So, yeah, it's just been a super interesting journey, and now feeling the call to really take that to the next level. So we can start today by talking about that, I guess.
Great. So yeah, I think we planned this to talk about the path of the white rose and the red rose first. Isn't that right?
Hmm. Yeah, so my understanding is, and of course, welcome to elaborate on that. Um, the red rose is the path of the divine feminine. Is very much symbolic of Mary Magdalene and her journey. Um, so that's a very central theme in that. It's the feminine energy, both the light and the dark feminine energy. And the white rose is the divine masculine energy or aspect of the journey. Now, the white rose does have some loose lineage back to Egypt, but back then it was the white lotus. So there's not, and this was a flower that's all through the temples in Egypt and very symbolic of the path of the initiation for the initiates into the upper echelons as pharaohs and so on. And so yeah, very interesting to see how far back this kind of symbology goes. But the rose itself was much more, it's I'd say a similar frequency, but it's also got its own uh, path, which kind of extends further back into, more the Templar times and so on around there. So yeah, and the French history there as well. So yeah, it's been around for a while, and now it's kind of evolving, I feel like, and got to take all this into the now. And I've certainly just trying to be figured out recently, like where does it fit in my journey, and I feel like there's a huge opportunity there to work with the frequency of the white rose and that divine masculine embodiment and bring that to the world. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment with this. Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, white is a color that often is associated with purity.
Hmm.
with light, clarity.
Yeah.
So I
Inner
think
peace.
there's some kind of keys there, some clues there. Yeah, and funnily enough, and this is also something that our friend Sophie Neville, has shared recently with me about the white rose and the red rose. That because she's of an aristocratic family in England called the Nevilles, who she tells me were one time the largest landowners in England. And they came over with the original Neville came over with William the Conqueror back in 1066 from Normandy. And yeah, that is the story of the Nevilles. But that's also there was something about the houses of the Lancaster and Yorkshire. So there was this war called the War of the Roses,
Mm.
which I remember covering briefly in my history lessons, which is between the kind of houses of Lancaster and York. And yeah, now I'd have to actually like do an internet search to actually remember exactly the dates and everything. I think it was something to do with the Plantagenets, and some other gang of or some family. And so anyway, the House of York is symbolized with the white rose, and the house or family of
Mm.
Lancaster, or the ruling families of those provinces. So Lancaster was the red rose, right? Lancashire, red rose, Yorkshire, white rose. And yeah, you had this War of the Roses, which I think partly maybe to do with religion, certainly to do with power and territory, and maybe influence to do with royalty. But yeah, without dipping into it, doing some research around it, I'm just working off the top of my head. So
Mm.
that's going to be off, I'm sure. But um, I lived in York for a long time, and I went to school in York, and that was Bootham School. And the Bootham School crest, funnily enough, it's a cross on the shield, and then on that cross there are, I think, four like St. John's crosses, which is the Templar cross, and then there are, I don't know, so many white roses as well. So it's very interesting for me to kind of decode that, um,
Mm.
and go, oh, interesting. Because I do believe that the codes and the symbology that we find ourselves in, from, about, connected with, resonant with, have keys for us personally on our own spiritual transformation journey. So yeah, I'm always obsessed actually and fascinated by that. Whether it's names, whether it's symbols, whether it's colors, etc.
Mm. Yeah, it's so interesting as well. Like, well, one thing I was just discussing with you recently, or like just before the call, was that, we can, and some people find it really useful to, like have a symbol or a name or a object or whatever that they associate with a certain feeling or emotion or a frequency or whatever. But, what I'm starting to understand is, or feel it for myself, is that, the rose itself, it's a beautiful symbol and it is just absolutely stunning. We all love roses. But, even that in itself, for me, it's more about what it embodies and like what it carries and the frequency that it has and the message that it has. And that's going to differ for everyone. Like you said, I found as well, even in my own journey, its intelligence is actually so vast. I'm only just starting to understand, like on a human level, because it's just such high energy. And anyone I've spoken to who's actually worked with the rose in the past, male and female is like, dude, like this is it. It really is. It's so encompassing, right? It's the purest of source energy, love, sacred union. I mean, the absolute purest essence of the divine masculine, divine feminine. I mean, it's like, wow. And these are universal laws as well. It's like the polarity. It's like it's all
Mm.
these things. It's super, super, super powerful. But yeah, just to say that, like, yes, there is the rose and so on, but not get too attached to the symbology or the object. And really, for me, it's just like, where is that frequency, within the body? And for me, it's like when I really feel into it, it's just like radiating from the heart, and it's such a pure, loving energy. Um, and yeah, I mean, for me, like my call to action in this particular case was really quite interesting after that talk that Sophie gave, I think it was two years ago in
Mm.
it was all about love, or was Love
Yeah,
Fest, one of those festivals.
all about love. Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, look, do you know much about the white rose, the path of the white rose? And she said, look, honestly, I really don't, but I'd love you to get back to me if you find out anything. So I just kind of took it upon myself that day to, promise myself that I'd be like, okay, I'm going to look into this. It didn't take more than 5 minutes until I walked out of that tent and I was crossing the field where I just got this like message, just like lightning striking me in the middle of a blue sky day, like to stop and go this way to a tent right now. And I was like, where? What? And I like froze, like middle of this field. I'm like, what is going on? And then it's like, you need to go to this tent, this voice of God, so to speak, where the Hape applicators are. And I'm like, okay. So I walked like 100 meters to this exact tent. I knew exactly where it was talking about. And I'm looking on the table at these Hape applicators. Hape, for anyone that doesn't know, is a sacred tobacco that could put into little handmade wooden pipe essentially, and inhale it. But
It goes up the
it's a
nose, though. It
medicinal,
doesn't go in. You don't
a
have to smoke
medicinal
it.
plant. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But without going too far into that, but essentially, I didn't see anything there, and I was like, I don't know what this is all about. The doubt started to creep in, and I kind of just thought, oh, I'm going mad, like whatever. Okay, so I walked away. I got only 10 meters from that tent, and the voice came back and said, "Stop, go back and look at the different hapes." And I'm like, froze mid-step again, and I was like, okay. So like started walking awkwardly backwards, went back to the tent, looked at all the different Hape tubes, like, little pots. I have some over here. I was gonna, the labels, and they were all facing the wrong way. So I was rolling one over at a different time, and then all of a sudden there was all green, all blue, all black, and one pink one. And I turned it around, and the label was, I shit you not, the white rose. I was like, you cannot be serious. What? So, so I bought it. And I was like, okay, I have to go and have this immediately. I need to, so I went up a mountain, a little mound, mountain. It was right next to there, and I had my HAP applicator. So yeah, I did a little, tuned in, and instantly it was like, you have to work with the white rose. This is needed, and it's time.
Mm.
And I just was like, okay, yes, whatever that. Thank you. And so, like, I just knew at that point, whether I was ready or not, it was going to start to feed itself into my life, or, find ways to weave itself
Mm.
in. And honestly, it took a little while, but it definitely came. And then the Easter event that we had in Bali and all this other stuff, just miracle after miracle, just people coming out of nowhere and sharing certain things, and it just got to a point where it was like, okay, How do I work with this? What do I do? And when I asked that question, immediately got the answer again with another symbol, which was in this particular case a tarot card, saying to work with the Brothers of the Rose, which, again, felt the call to do. So here we are, and yeah, like Jody and myself met many years ago in Lake Atitlan, and been a wonderful journey of, our own paths and so on since, but yeah, it feels like a perfect match to kind of carry the rose frequency. And so, yeah, this is what we're planning on doing.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing all of that. That's just such a wonderful lead-in story, origin story almost for
Mm.
the path of the White
Felt
Rose.
appropriate to
Yeah,
let everyone know that's
yeah,
how it
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
what comes to mind is when the student is ready, the master will appear or the teacher will appear,
yeah, yeah.
And also the slogan of the medicine festival, which is the medicine
Mm.
you are seeking is seeking you.
I mean, it sure was.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just out of this world.
Mm, beautiful. So if we're kind of going with this principle really, which is that the white rose is more towards the divine masculine,
Mm.
and the red rose being more towards the divine feminine.
Yeah.
Uh, do we want to share more about that in particular, the divine feminine and the red rose? I mean, what comes to mind for me is blood, uh,
Yeah.
you know, blood magic, the womb, right? The menstrual cycle, menses, and
The growl, we
sexuality.
call it, right? Yeah.
What's that?
The growl, I think Tanisha calls it. Yeah.
Wow.
The
Okay.
grail, not the growl. Yeah.
Oh, the growl. Yeah, the growl or the grail. Yeah.
The holy,
Um,
so to speak. Yeah. There's so
yeah, the
much.
Holy Grail. Yeah, and
Call it.
just that. Well, I believe the Grail encompasses all really.
Oh,
The
yeah,
white rose and the red
absolutely.
rose and the pink rose and
Absolutely.
everything else. It's that whole self-mastery path and the inner union. Um, so yeah, we've obviously got the red. Also the Camino Rojo, the red path, which seemed a mystery to me when I first heard about it when I was living in Spain like 20 years ago. People were talking about the El Camino Rojo. I don't know what
Mm,
it is. I haven't been invited. Like, I don't know where. And then it kind of, at some point, it dawned on me more recently that that was the red path and that was about like the women's path, the right, the of having menses and wombs and moons and
mm.
bleeding and all of that cycle and creation really,
Yeah.
and having a
And a lot of ritual behind that, a lot of honoring of that.
yeah,
Deeply, deeply. Yeah.
cycles, the feminine cycles and
Yeah.
cycles of nature and all of that, and that wisdom and the deep wisdom, the dark feminine, the stages, right, the virgin, whatever it knows, was it virgin, mother, maiden, crone, maiden,
Mm,
mother, crone, and mage, as Tanishka also talks about, mother, sorry, maiden, mother, mage, crone, I think is how she, those four
mm.
stages. And that's somewhat synonymous with the male, the masculine, the king warrior thing, the king warrior
You
thing,
nailed it.
the
Yeah.
king warrior thing.
The
Um,
magician, the warrior, the king, and the what's the other one? Got the
Sage is
book behind. Yeah.
that? It's that kind of vibe, sage.
Yeah. Mm.
Is it sage? Something like that.
Can't remember.
I've got the book. I just haven't
Yeah, I've got it
read
too somewhere.
it.
Well, that's okay. But yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and yeah, again, witnessed a lot of rose priestesses as well on this journey. and just been absolutely awestruck by their true embodiment of that frequency of the red rose. And it
Mm,
really is no joke. I mean, it's a path that takes full commitment. And yeah, to see the people that I have that and witness the, many of cases, a handful of people, but I just bow to that so much. It's so beautiful to see.
mm.
Um, yeah. So,
And sexuality, right? Working with sexuality,
oh
sacred
yeah,
sexuality,
absolutely. It's a very
embodiment.
key part. Yeah, yeah, very key part of that. Very key part. Um, yeah, I didn't really understand the aspect of the dark feminine until I started really looking into that. That was super interesting. But
Mm,
they are synonymous. Like it's not like, the red light, rose is all love, light, and da 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 da. It's like, oh no, it's the aspect of the dark is just as important. And it doesn't
mm,
mean, we're not traditional dark in terms of sorcery and evil and all this. It's like the sexual aspect of it, right?
mm.
The lustful acts, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's super
Eroticism.
interesting. Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, because you got the whole kind of sex priestess kind of vibe, which is, you know, working with the eros and
Yes, yes,
healing. It's as a healing energy, and these temple priestesses that existed in the past, who worked with that eros, trained themselves in the mysteries and sacred sexuality, and were able to embody that so fully that they were then became this priestess in the temple where they offered healing to both men and women through eros.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And to quickly mention, the pink rose is the best of all, which is the sacred union, the Hieros Gammas, bringing together the two, divine masculine and feminine. So that is to be celebrated as well, very much.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. Good old sacred union. That's where it's at.
Yeah, within and without, that as above,
Mm.
so below, all those things, I've learned along the way as well that, we all like on this journey, we all love the idea of, oh, sacred union. Oh, it's so like it's a beautiful thing. And it took me a while to actually realize that it's not just nice, but necessary to embody that within first before it can really truly manifest without.
Yeah.
So that in itself has been a massive initiation in my own journey. Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of beauty to it, but it's quite complex in many ways as well.
Well, then it's
Yeah,
because it's also about this. We need to go through our journey of initiations and go through the shadow, right? Meet the shadow,
yes,
right? So this hero's journey that we embark upon, that we are on this quest, as a seeker, as an initiate, as having an awakening, someone who's having an awakening, who's on this planet in 2025, and I'm in an awakening. What's going on? I can no longer live in the old paradigm, right?
yeah,
And I'm seeking new perspectives and new knowledge because what has come before is just not enough. It's not sufficient.
mm,
I'm being so much more is being asked of me as I awaken and realize I need to walk my truth and embody what I know inside, the whispers, the unfoldment that is happening inside, the light that has been put on in my heart, in
yeah,
my mind, in my soul, where I am have a suddenly voracious, possibly appetite for the truth, for togetherness, for sacred union, for love, for unity consciousness, for peace on earth, for love, right? That universal love. And like, wow, yeah, what's going on the planet is and has been going on is not my jam. And realizing I need to start to embody this in myself, whatever the change I want to see in the world starts with me. And then okay, I'm on this hero's journey. And then what we know and learn from the great mystery traditions is that this part or this need to go into the self and go into the descent into the underworld, right? Which is the
Mm,
subconscious, the shadow. We need to face our demons. We need to look at ourselves, look at our limiting beliefs, our misbeliefs, our traumas, our transgenerational patterns, all that is not serving, and really look at all of that stuff. And that's also, as we've been talking, is what we're doing in the Rose Path of the Rose initiation in Guatemala, as
mm,
either a group of men, being part of a group of men, or a group of women, sisters and brothers, going through this process together to look at the shadow and to be reborn essentially through the ashes of that, burning that up and bringing light, bringing the sort of awareness, the fire of awakening to those shadows, loving ourselves unconditionally, embracing ourselves, and stepping forward, and onto the path to
mm,
and owning our power, owning our light, our leadership, and celebrating, our true values, right? That and those values that we may see in people that we follow, that we admire, be it, God knows, the Dalai Lama, be it Amma, be it, the mentor that we have, whose courses we all, we go on, or the speaker, that great speaker that we follow, and we
mm,
just in awe of this person. That's our light shadow.
mm.
Their
Yeah.
qualities are actually inside of us, yet to be ignited in our own life. And so we're embodying those values and those qualities of brilliance and light and truth that lie dormant inside, and that through this initiation that we embark on,
Mm,
and always through the heart.
mm,
So that 3 day initiatory journey that we're doing in Guatemala is that the invitation to do that, to embark on that path, and really, yeah, face our shadows, meet our demons, embrace who we truly are, love ourselves unconditionally, heal the past, step into the power and fire of transformation, our own power, our own truth, and walk in the light really of our soul. And
mm, mm,
yeah, be reborn and come together at the end. The two groups, the sisterhood and the brotherhood, coming together in sacred union as the last final part of the journey, which will be absolutely amazing. And there'll also be an opportunity, won't there, to, yeah, be with the group afterwards, and a continued kind of activity program for a few days after those 3 days.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, you actually just answered my next question, which was how does one go on such a journey? No need to answer that question anymore, which is great. So thank you very much for letting everyone know that opportunity exists, and we'll be sharing more about that. I just wanted to wind it back a little bit because it was
Sure.
really interesting. Um, there was this theme that you were talking about where we have these idealized versions of people that we connect with or we resonate with when we're growing up or when we're going through life, and we think to ourselves, oh, like I'm getting chills just talking about this, like what is it about this person that I resonate with? Like sometimes as a kid, like you're like, "Well, I don't know why I love Superman so much, but I really fucking love Superman, you know?" Like, or you know, it's a teacher or Amma, or you know, maybe never even spoken to this person, but you feel such a pull, right, towards them. Now, I guess, you know, I'm asking the question, but I'm also gonna, you know, attempt at an answer myself. I feel like it's kind of like we're resonating with their core values, right? On a frequency level without even
Mm,
knowing it. So
mm,
what's coming through now for me is like there's a resonance there in the body that you're feeling from
mm,
them that's like in a perfect resonance with a part of yourself that you probably haven't even awoken fully yet, right?
mm.
And
Absolutely.
so that's what's coming through to me now. So it's like, oh, this person is now tuning into a part of my soul or soul's journey, or, you know, my Akashic record, or God knows what else, or my Kundalini, or something inside of me that's deeply understanding on this person with their what they're saying and speaking on a frequency level, not necessarily through the words, but obviously words have a large part. It's more about their projection from a place of truth and core values, I feel like, that resonate with you on a very deep level, right? So, yeah, just, I mean, that's what I'm feeling. I don't know if that resonates with you at all, but
Totally. This is
yeah,
it. It's totally that resonance. So that it gets activated. I feel. So yeah, for example, for myself, I loved Superman as a child. Um, Luke Skywalker,
yeah.
Spider-Man, Robin Hood, right? All those archetypes.
Don't forget Batman. He's big.
Batman, yeah, also Batman. Like they activated something in me, um, which was, the hero in me,
Yeah.
heroic, courageous, brave, but
Yeah.
also genius,
Yes.
and like my ultimate.
Strong.
Sorry.
Strong. Strength.
Strong,
Tremendous
yeah,
strength.
strong, and
Yeah.
multi-talented, and
Yeah.
all the kind of seeds of who I could become,
Yeah.
as in my journey to adulthood and to wherever I'm going with that. So that was super exciting as a child, and maybe I didn't know it. I didn't consciously know it,
Yeah.
but there was something about Superman that was absolutely captivating for me.
Mm.
Absolutely captivating. I had the same thing with Robin Hood as well,
I
in a,
can I just
in a
can I just
different way.
I just want to tell you a little story. I went to the video shop in Taramara where well, in around where I grew up every week, and I borrowed their Superman tapes every single week, and I wore them out. They had to buy new copies several times of these films because I grabbed the Superman tapes
Really?
and watched them that frequently. Not to
Wow.
mention running around, you know, the shopping malls in my Superman outfit and all the rest of it, even as a 8-year-old. Or God knows, my sister will probably say, no, you were still doing that when you were at 11 or 12. So, you know, I mean,
Wow.
I can't remember it was that late, but it was a long time that I was probably not. But you know what I mean? It was a long part of my young adulthood, and that theme of, you know, just aspiration and wanting to be the very best version of myself without limits, without conditions, without, you know, this or that. So yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just, you know, and again, like Tarzan, could be anyone.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
Tarzan. Yeah, that was another one. Yeah.
right, you know. And I love that there's always romance in there
Yeah.
somewhere. Most, you know, it's so beautiful. It's like, yeah. I mean, I guess that's also, you know, circling back to where we're going with this whole thing. Like, if you translate that into the journey that we're talking about, like the one that embodies the qualities of these people or archetypes, let's call them, of truth, of strength, of courage, of purpose, of love, of service to others, right?
Mm,
Selfless service
mm,
mostly, right? Even
mm,
Batman and all these people, right? They
mm.
just break themselves in order
Exactly. It's selfless
to
service, isn't it?
to be of service to greater humanity, right? To the point where they almost die millions of times over. Um, so, that sort of sacrifice and that kind of like knowing no limits, etc. So I guess what I'm suggesting is that, we all have the opportunity to go through that journey in life. Not everyone chooses to do it. Most aren't even aware at this point, I'd say.
Mm,
Uh, of its existence, but it is very much the hero's journey. And the reward, quite often, for going through such a journey, and it isn't easy, believe me. I can speak from experience in my own dark night of the soul and all the rest of it, and the various different initiations that, it either ends up in romance or inner romance, in the sense of like inner union, of the sacred union within, and ideally both, right? Because
mm,
you have embodied all of the qualities you've yeah, yeah. Can't think of a better word than embody, but I'm trying to. Uh and transformed, like literally just transformed completely, and purged everything that wasn't serving you. Could be even multi-generational, could be like infinite number of timelines, and arrived at the purest essence of your being, right, and your soul's purpose and so on. So yeah, just kind of some thoughts there.
mm. Fantastic. So yeah, the superhero self is, in terms of the spiritual journey, what we're embarking on when we're talking about and we're thinking about, I believe, the path of the rose and what that is about illumination, sacred union, inner union, oneness, right? I mean, self-realization, ultimately, knowing ourselves as source,
Yeah,
not separate, but we are source, that source is us, and that the expansion, the peace, the joy, the liberation that offers us as human beings, or let's say spiritual beings having a human experience.
yes, in a human body. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So circling back to the superheroes, that's what we related to as children, these heroic archetypes, because it's the light shadow and
Mm,
what we see as possible and the potential that we have as a human. And yeah, selfless service, being working for the good, um, helping bring harmony to the world, right? Righting the wrongs, etc. Da, 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 da.
yeah.
And victory against the evil, the villain, right?
Yeah. Let's not
Right?
forget the villain.
The villain,
Now,
the nemesis, right?
yeah,
Darth Vader, or whoever it is. And of
Dr.
course,
Evil.
that being actually the shadow,
Yeah, of course.
right?
Yes. The unresolved trauma.
Yeah. The toxic beliefs, the toxic transgenerational patterns.
Yeah, the anger, the hurt,
Yeah.
the not good enough,
Yeah.
the core wounds, let's just
Or
say, of the
wounds. Yeah.
masculine and
Beautifully
feminine.
put.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so another word I just want to throw in there that comes to mind when I'm sort of thinking of all these things is the healing part, is the word alignment, right? And like the human body coming into, and the mind and the heart and the soul all coming into alignment. And I feel like that's really the, yeah, like my whole body's just lighting up now, just feeling that that's where it's at. That's our highest calling, and that's what our soul's asking of us to do in this lifetime, I feel. Um, yeah. So when we talk about the highest self, uh, do you want to have a, maybe for those that don't know, maybe you can have a little explanation about what your thoughts around that are as well.
Well, when I think of the higher self, yeah, I think of the soul. I think of the highest potential that each and every one of us have, which is actually coexisting with who we are right now, because time is,
Yes.
I believe, a construct. That's how I find it to be. And actually, there is no real time. It's just appears
Mm,
that way, and then that kind of
yeah.
can sound completely contradictory or nonsensical. Um, However, bear with me, because what we're calling in is already here.
Mm,
The
yeah, exactly.
medicine that we're seeking is seeking us, because actually we are it. We are that higher frequency. The 3D is a construct, it's a hologram, giving us a wonderful opportunity to play, in a 3D playground. So what do we want to do? Do we want to be the heroes of our own life? And that higher self is offering us that superhero idiom, that superhero ideal, possibility, potential, which is that high frequency, the higher frequency, the highest timeline that we can align with.
Mm, yeah.
Because we all know that, yeah, you could just go and, get buy a gun and use it to dominate others and rob a bank and get money or whatever, and kind of do what the hell you like, right, in the 3D playground. But there are consequences to that, and you're not going to be happy. Ultimately, it's not happy because we've we've hurt others. We've engaged in misuse of power,
Yeah.
and that's not a harmonic result. You're not going to get any harmonic result with the misuse of power. And so it's learning to work with the laws of nature, the laws, the universal laws, and to have right relationship with all things.
It's so beautiful you say that, because I feel like it's absolutely the truth, in the sense that when you're working, and I have witnessed this, I mean, countless times, when I'm working in synchronicity with my highest calling and my highest self and my highest timeline, and working on, say, tasks that are moving me towards that, the synchronicities from the universe are showing up all over the place. I mean, all over the place, just right in front of me. And it's just, it's nothing short of miraculous, but actually, even miracles, it turns out, are normal. And I didn't know this until I was reading, I started reading uh, A Course in Miracles. I don't know if you've read it, but
It's in
within
the
the
now.
first,
Yeah.
yeah, the first chapter is basically saying, this is the normal way things are. It's just that we don't often see it. It's because we're not operating from our highest frequency, or we're not, in resonant frequency with, all this kind of stuff. So, uh, yeah, I was just kind of diving into that a little bit, because I found that, yeah, it's pretty crazy how they, like in my own case, like just calling you a few times this week, as I said before, and writing notes and typing things up and working towards this goal of like this retreat in January. all of a sudden, like my flatmate starts showing up with bunches of roses, red and white, like out of the blue. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, I didn't ask you to get them, or, he's just carrying them home innocently, like, oh, look what I found. He didn't even buy them, they just were gifted to him. It's just so ridiculous. And it's like all of a sudden our house is just blooming with roses. And I'm like, okay. Thank
Hmm.
you, universe,
Yeah.
for reminding me of how much you playing or just demonstrating to me that synchronicities come out of the woodwork when you're in your highest alignment, right?
Exactly. In the alignment. It's like that is the frequency of miracles, is the alignment.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's crazy, because as I sent you that image of the white rose, which is here with me now, as we were talking about the white rose last week,
Yeah. Yeah. So beautiful.
and you were talking about it, and I was, just asking you about it, I think. And the very next day, my partner, my girlfriend, gifts me this white rose. I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And she wasn't privy to our conversation or anything, but
Mm.
obviously alignment,
Yeah.
the path of the divine masculine, the path of the rose, you know, moving towards something which is embodying that, sharing it with others,
Mm.
and working with that frequency and that energy myself. And
Yeah.
then a white rose shows up in my
Yeah.
reality the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not always immediately. It's just exactly the same thing happened to me. Whereas we had these calls, we had these various things. It wasn't until the next day that it, showed up, but it happened. And I get more immediately, I call them winks from the universe,
Mm,
I get more of them. So for example, I see repeating numbers on my phone, like 222 or 333. And honestly, man, I'm not exaggerating. There are days that I've more than one, and I want to know if someone could do the maths for me and work out what the statistical probability of this is. But I can promise you, there have been days in the last 4 years where I've looked at my phone, and the only time I've looked at my phone, it's been 111, then it's 222, then it's 333, then it's 555 because I missed 444 because I was out getting something at the shop. And I'm just like, oh, come on, man. Come on. Like, but that day I was, really focused on, or I was working towards something that was in alignment completely with my higher self, or a version of myself that absolutely the universe was like, yeah, dude, you keep going on that path because whatever it is that you're thinking in this moment, we support that. And so, yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if it happened like here or there, but it's just crazy the amount that it happens, man. It's like it's always numbers,
yeah.
always for me. And I
Well,
know that that's a common theme. I know that's like, a lot of
yeah,
people
no, it is
experience.
a thing that's regularly talked about, these number synchronicities that more and more people are having on their awakening journeys. And
Mm,
yeah, it's magic. It's just pure magic because if you are actually to do the statistics of probability, the probabilities are so tiny. Like I remember I was tuning into this author called David Wilcock, which some of you may have heard of. You may have come across. I read most of his books, and he was talking about that. About he was working with, I don't know, someone who was a mathematician or something to work out probabilities of synchronicities,
yeah, right.
and he was saying that it's so like what people will dismiss as coincidence, you know.
Yeah,
Actually, if we look at the probabilities and the statistics, it is absolutely ridiculously improbable
Yeah.
that these things actually happen. And
Mm.
one coincidence or synchronicity, well, okay, it's we could say one in a million, right? But then when you have another one, and then another
Yeah.
one, and another one, another, right? It's like, okay, yeah, this is magic. This is there's nothing to do with anything rational, logical going on here. There's nothing random
Yeah.
going on here.
There's definitely been days where I have literally questioned my sanity. Like it's just bewildered me how absolutely out of this world that a series of events has happened that I'm just like, this is just absurd. I mean, I've written many journals the last couple of years, and I could, at some point I'll share some of them, but yeah, it's beautiful. And again, just cycling quickly back to the Course in Miracles, it's very clear right there in like the first couple of chapters, like, guys, this is how the universe operates when, everything is going to plan, so to speak, right? Get used to it. And so, as the veil thins kind of thing, the
Yeah,
people like us going through their journey, it's just becoming like the norm. And
exactly.
it's kind of adjusting ourselves to be at that frequency all the time. But it definitely takes a little bit of getting used to. And yeah, there definitely have, as I said, been moments where I'm like, okay, like it feels like you're in the Matrix and there's little glitches happening every so often. So,
Totally.
quite
And of
interesting.
course, if you go talking about this to family members, for example,
Oh,
if they haven't
yeah.
had if they haven't had an awakening, then they are going to look at you like you have literally gone mad. And
Yeah.
that's funny. It's kind of amusing. I find it amusing because me and my partner, we are staying with some of her family, and we joke to each other about, imagine if we told them what happened just now.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't like. They'd be just, oh, what?
Yeah.
Is so.
Uh,
And actually, one synchronicity, number synchronicity that my mind goes back to is being at the Great Pyramid of Giza and being at on the site, and which actually makes me think, yeah, I'd love to be back there.
mm,
But the only time I was there for hours, several hours, the only time I whipped out my phone to check the time, of course, the time was 11:11.
yeah.
Of course, the time was 11:11.
Course.
Of course it
Of
was.
course. Yeah, well, funny you mentioned that because the house that I'm sitting in right now, I came to see on the 22nd of the 2nd this year. And I thought, well, today's probably not a bad day to go. I'd started making excuses in my mind, but something came through, like I was thinking, oh, I don't really know if I want to go. And this very strong message came through, like, you're going to check out this house. And I was like, okay, all right, fine. I'll surrender to that because every time I have, it's usually worked out pretty well. So here I am on the 22nd of the 2nd, and I'm having a chat to, who's now my flatmate, Trent, and we end up having the most unbelievably deep conversation spontaneously about spirituality, about Egypt, about all these other things. Like, I'm just arrived. I haven't even got a tour of the house. And we start having like a half an hour conversation standing in the hallway, you know. And I'm like, okay, well, look, why don't, we kind of got to the point where like, he's like, yeah, well, why don't I show you around? We've been talking for a bit. So, all right. Walked in the kitchen, look at the clock on the stove. Guess what time it was?
2:22.
2:22.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, that's interesting. And then if it doesn't get it, it gets even weirder. Um, I was like, well, that's definitely a sign. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We walking around, I look around the kitchen, I then go out the back. I see the dryer and I see like one of these, like I think it was an energy rating or something, and it's a really old shitty dryer. I can't remember like exactly where I saw it, but I saw a label or a sticker, and it also had 222 written on it. And I'm like, come on, mate. Come on. What are like statistically, that is absurd. And this is all in the space of like 10 minutes.
Mm, mm.
Like, so again, I'm like, okay, all right, I got the message. Thank
Yeah,
you. And
this
like
is the place. Yeah,
he
alignment.
literally said to me on the way out the door, "You're the right man for the place. Just let's go."
Yeah,
And I said, "Yeah, I already knew that."
yeah,
And like 2 weeks later, I was in here.
yeah.
So, it's just, yeah, I'm like, and these things happen on a fairly regular basis at certain points, I find. Uh, yeah, just,
Yeah, and it's kind of like whatever our mind, our consciousness needs to give us that assurance, like
yeah,
of like, yeah, this is a hit, this is a connection,
yeah,
this is it.
yeah,
Like
this is it.
whatever it is, a number synchronicity, or it's an image, a symbol, something happening. I remember I was like 18 at the time, and I was reading about ascension, something like that, consciousness, cosmic consciousness. And I was reading a book, and I had some music on going on the radio, whatever it was, or a CD or something. And as I read the words "wake up," when we, wake up to the truth of things or the reality, there was exactly synchronistically, as I read those words, the music went "wake up" like that, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
song, whatever, the lyrics were "wake up," and I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had similar. Yeah, it's just like, oh my God, crazy. Yeah, like people have
So
spoken the words that I'm reading in a book, and they're
yeah.
like 5 feet away from me, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I love
So
it. Love it.
yeah.
And it never gets dull. It never gets dull.
No, no. Okay, so perhaps we could just, because I know we could talk all day and all night,
Sure,
but
sure, sure.
we could talk about to our audience a little bit more about what we're doing in January. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
which, yeah. So uh, Jody and I would be hosting the Divine Masculine side of the Brotherhood side of the White Rose, and we have this beautiful facilitator, Amia, who will be running the women's side of the Divine Feminine, and it's a 3-day initiation, you could say, or journey that's sort of in 3 parts, like an arc. Um, and yeah, essentially, it's the healing journey, the hero's journey that we're going through. Starting with the kind of alignment phase, tuning into the higher self, asking what it is of us that we are searching for in this journey. Talking about like our potentially our childhood, yeah, like we talked about superheroes or idols or anything that resonated with us as a kid, understanding what it is about them that motivated us, and various different activities and everything through the day, just to kind of get some clarity on what it is that we feel our soul is asking for, right? And again, this program is probably going to shift a little bit, but yeah, and the second day is more about the healing, opening potentially some wounds there, going deep, resolving the trauma, doing lots of different healing modalities and so on to, yeah, to purge that, to move the energy, to cleanse oneself in various different ways. And then the third day is about embodiment and integration, celebration, and yeah, becoming, I guess you could also say, right, of,
Mm.
having gone through that process. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's like where do we want to get to? First phase, where do we want to get to? Like, what do I believe in? What are my values? What is my truth? What is my soul path? What do I believe my destiny is? What am I destined for? What is the highest potential for myself, my journey, my life, my work, my relationship, everything else. And, really anchoring that in, like, okay, and then okay, what's in the way? What's in the way?
Yes.
Why aren't I there now? You know? Well, okay, let's have a look. Ooh, whoops, under the hood. Yeah, oh, it's a bit dark down there. There's unconscious patterns playing out in my life. That's why this isn't working, this isn't working with, what isn't working in my life, right? Well, this money thing, this thing over here, there's this other thing, a relationship thing over here, there's a health thing down here, and I'm not aligned with the work I'm doing, and okay, and then what's behind that? Oh, right, yeah, well, it's the way my father, treated me, and he treated my mother, and da 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 da. Or my mother did this to my sister, and da 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 da. And that's made me think like this, and that's why I believe I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I'm too much, or whatever else, right? Like excavating, finding the stories, what is still running the show underneath, in the subconscious, in the unconscious, in the shadows, what needs to be released, really, and let go of, that I'm holding on to, that I'm still carrying with me. I'm believing in this thing that's actually, oh, wait, what is this thing? It's not even true. Even when I really look at it,
Mm.
it's not even true. And so they can just dissolve and dissipate in the light of our awareness,
Beautiful. Yeah.
and with courage and with the support of the group, right? In a heart-led,
Oh, yeah. So powerful.
safe
So
space,
powerful.
which
Yeah.
is beautiful in this incredible land of, Guatemala, in
Yes.
the, in the Mayan highlands, the vortex of the Lake Atitlan. It's such a powerful portal, and very conducive to deep, deep healing and transformation.
Can speak from experience there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've got the bright aura to prove it.
Yeah.
Um, and then
You
yeah,
seem
and
to
then
be
the third.
awfully pink. I don't know what's going on there. Very pink aura.
And then the third phase is this, yeah, kind of integration part and anchoring in the new timeline, the new identity, the new you, on as a leader, as a light on the path of the rose, and being unstoppable, really, and being true
Mm.
in your resolve, celebrating, really, the
Yeah.
journey. And yeah, it's and then coming together with the other group, right? If you're
Hmm.
being with the men
Hmm.
all the time, then now we're going to integrate and come together with the women. If you're been in the women's group and doing your incredible, beautiful process there, and birthing the new woman and on the path of the rose, and then you're gonna, right, now we're gonna come into the sacred union together, honoring each other, in very much in love and the path of the heart and respect and
Mm.
and coming together in this beautiful sacred union, and really
Mm.
celebrating and having a ceremony and a bit of a party, really.
Yes, yes. I was going to hint at some of that, but then you could have, yeah, I mean, look, it is a celebration. It is a ceremony, so to speak, literally and figuratively. But it's very symbolic as well. It's one thing to do the men's side. It's one thing to walk away from say, the women's side and leave it at that. But to have gone through that process and then come together and to be able to celebrate that individual and collective journey together, having embodied all these new frequencies and everything, my goodness me, that is going to be powerful. And so, yeah, we won't share all the details. We've got to keep some surprises, but we have some beautiful, there's quite a very deep journey that happens within that part of the journey of the two coming together. Um, We may share some more on that in the next few weeks, but also I like to keep some element of surprise. And then we're considering, I think, having 3 days after that, a little less formal. It's kind of more just like an additional 3 days where the women and the men can all just hang out. We'll do some group activities and some various other things, so that as these people that have been essentially reborn, we have the opportunity to, uh, you know, interact with one another in that new energy, in
Mm.
that sacred union vibe, basically.
And whilst we're not advertising this as a soulmate, find your soulmate
Yeah,
retreat, you never know. It could be that you
of
meet
all the
your
of
soulmate.
all the places, yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised.
So,
Yeah,
anything's possible, isn't it, really? And
yeah,
well, what better place than a Path of the Rose initiation ceremony, right? To
totally,
suddenly lock
totally.
eyes with your beloved. Oh my God,
Extend.
it's him. It's her. I knew it.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
joking aside, it's entirely possible, although this is not the intention. What they say, it's the conscious or stated intention. Um, Pourquoi pas, as they say in France? Why not? That could be the cherry on the cake for you, or perhaps the cherry on the cake for you is radiating, just radiating with clarity, purpose, and self-love. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see. I mean, I look, as I said, it'd be one thing for the brothers to have, gone through that process together, bonded and celebrated that. But again, yeah, like, I'm just repeating myself with the women there as well. The energy that that holds is just, I mean, I can already feel it like ahead of time. We talked about time not being a linear thing. But I felt that energy years ago when we were in Glastonbury and we were meditating together, actually in my apartment. Do you remember and we also had some of that white rose hape. And what I felt in that meditation was such an extraordinarily high energy. And it was this vision that I was holding of like the coming together of the two into that sacred space that the women had prepared for the evening,
Mm,
knowing that the men had finally gone through the last stage of their
yeah.
initiation and were now being welcomed into the womb space, let's say, in the room, the temple that the women had set, for the men and so on. So a lot, of this was channeled to myself a couple of years ago, and it's now just starting to kind of take shape and be birthed into the physical. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to actually be, yeah, making this happen. And I can't wait to see the radiation of just beauty that's emanating from everyone,
Mm.
throughout that journey. And I know there's going to be a lot of tears and a lot of roller coasters and things
Totally.
involved. Hey, it takes work,
Yeah.
and it's not for everyone, but those that are meant to come are definitely going to show up.
Yeah, and we are going to do before and after photos, portrait photos, as well,
Yeah,
or selfies or
definitely.
whatever, however we do it. But
Mm.
um, to really show, so we can kind of go, look, this is how I was, this is my face then, and then look at this now, like, oh my God, there's such a difference. Wow, okay.
Yeah, and a
That
group
can really
photo
help the
before and
mind,
after.
understand the shift that's happened.
Yeah, 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 and a group picture before and after, and just yeah, it's just going to be beautiful.
Yeah,
So we really hope that you decide to join us. There are only 13 spaces on either side, so they will go very fast. And yeah, at this stage, the date is still TBA, but it's going to be within the second or third week of January, I think. So yeah, we'll get back to you on that. But
yeah, that will be
just
concretized very, very soon. And just on another note, Guatemala is known as the land of eternal spring,
mm,
and the weather in January is absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, perfect. Like what, 25 to
Yeah,
30 max,
25,
dry, blue
26 in the
sky.
day, t-shirt weather, wonderful sunbathing weather, and then in the evening, just a bit cooler and just nice, but not too
Perfect.
cool. It's just absolutely perfect. It's the best weather I've ever experienced is Guatemala especially Lake Atitlan in January. So
Yeah, January to March is just
yeah, January
absolutely
to March is
fantastic.
phenomenal weather and clear blue skies, so um what's not to love? Yeah, and perhaps we could also, get have we will, I guess, have Amia on at some point as well
Yeah,
as perhaps even Sophie to have a chat about
yeah, love
Rose
that.
lineage.
Love that.
There's a couple of others that I'm thinking about that we can chat about,
Yeah,
who we could just kind of have on here as well as we move forward. So
beautiful.
yeah. So what do people do
So yeah,
if they want that they know they're interested and they want more information, Michael, at this
yeah.
stage?
So there is a Facebook page which is Path of the Rose, or facebook.com/Path of the Rose. We will be posting these videos and any upcoming event details there as well. And I will definitely let people know when there's a mailing list or a Telegram group or any of that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, so
Um,
you can give us if you're watching this and you're like, I want to be notified, I want to be on the wait list, then you can message the page
yeah,
directly with your email
DM
address
me
and just say,
or the
hey, look,
page.
I'd like to be notified immediately, when the dates become available, to get my place on this and get the details.
Yeah. And I think by next week, when we do the next video, I'll have put together some other contact links and stuff. So don't worry about that. That will
Yeah.
be forthcoming. Yeah.
So that'll be next week, which is the October the 26th, Sunday the 26th.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. Okay, perfect.
Righties.
Fantastic. Wow, we covered a lot today. Super great.
We have. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So great to see you as always. I'm so looking forward to the next one, man. See
Yeah.
what rabbit holes we
Too.
go down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Wow.
Such a
Fantastic.
beautiful conversation today.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yee. Great. Well, and Michael, if do you have anything else you want to kind of talk about or promote before we end the
Um,
conversation?
I feel like we're pretty good for now. Like, as I said, I think the best point of contact for now is the Facebook page. But keep an eye out on YouTube and so on, and we'll keep posting any updates with dates, phone numbers, Telegram, and all that kind of stuff as well, and let you know how things are moving along. And yeah, I think there'll be an email list at some point as well where we can email out flyers, newsletters, posters, all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, let's get that completely sorted out this week. So that's good to go for next week. Yeah, and if anyone's interested in just kind of like sole purpose coaching, anything like that, do give me a shout. I'm happy to have a chat with you on a call just to kind of help you with your kind of get clear about where you're at and where you might want to get to in life. And I also run a book writing mentorship as well for coaches, light workers, and healers and spiritual entrepreneurs to take yourself to the next level of leadership, legacy, and impact. So again, find me Jody Dean to ask me more about that. Perhaps our links and stuff or whatever will be underneath this video, so you won't have to go too far. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you, Michael, chatting next week.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it, really, guys. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Love and
And
blessings.
yeah,
Hope to see you in Guatemala.
yeah. Hope to see you in
Take
Guatemala. Exactly. All right. Bye for now.